Hey, what's up? It's Jim, and today I'm going to talk about Saltburn. There's been a lot of these sort of like eat the rich movies, and that's totally cool. I'm totally into that. I think most people are. But I think the difference between all of those and this one is this one doesn't really know why. Like, it sort of gets like this guy has no money, and these people do have money. But that's like sort of it. If you look at something like, I guess Parasite is the shining example of that because of its prestige and how good it is and all those things. But like, there was a reason those people took advantage of the rich family was to have jobs, because otherwise the other jobs would stink. So you understand that motivation. And I think its lack of meaning kind of makes this film feel extraneous, but I actually liked watching this movie kind of flail in front of me and pretend like it was making some sort of a point when, like, I think even the movie itself knew it never was, but I had a good time watching it pretend it could. Saltburn is about a young man named Oliver who is going to Oxford in the early 2000s, going to school the same time I did, but in a different country and for a much more not art school place that I went. But they both listened to Block Party, so we're like just like the same basically. So the music part, I was like, oh, I remember that. That didn't come out then, but this is in England, so maybe it was different there. I don't know. But yes, it takes place in the 2000s. Why? I have literally no clue. That was nice. I was like, I remember those times, and that's as deep as that got. Like, there's like no reason. I was like, oh, I guess. I don't know. What are you saying? But Oliver, who is going to Oxford, notices Felix and his whole posh family, and Felix lives on a huge estate called Saltburn. He becomes friends with him, and Felix kind of gets obsessed with him. Eventually, Oliver is invited to Saltburn, his estate, for a summer vacation, and hangs out there and likes it way too much and tries to bring himself more and more within the family and be more and more a part of Saltburn, kind of hoping that he can be a part of this posh lifestyle that he desires so much. So, like, there are things I do like about this movie, and I do think I had a good time watching it. I didn't actually have a bad time watching it, even if it was went on too long. I do like, actually, one thing is, this is produced by Margot Robbie. She's kind of, I guess, the studio and producer that very much believes in Emerald Fennell. Produced her first film, Promising Young Woman. Emerald Fennell was in Barbie movies, The Pregnant Barbie, and then she's producing this one. And I don't know of many female directors who get to have the chances that Emerald Fennell has, get to do the kind of artistic things that's usually for a male director. That I actually think is legitimately cool. We don't see that kind of stuff very rarely ever. And so it's cool to see a female director do this kind of a sophomore film. We just don't see that because letting a director go off and pick the random styles and stuff, that's something we don't get to see, and it feels like this film is not going to be her last movie or anything like that. So it's kind of cool actually seeing that. Also because she stayed within her own auteurism, which I think helps a lot of directors. Do not do that on their second film, but as mixed as this film is, I can see Emerald Fennell continuing, very much so. This wasn't a insert second film disaster, or to be pick another female director, I guess, Don't Worry Darlings, but that's not what this film. But aside from all that, I think that's really cool. But I think stylistic, this is very much a style movie, and it's I keep seeing reviews all these people are vampires, or they aren't, but all this stuff, and it's yeah, I mean, it is definitely cool, and it's fun to watch and fun to be reminded of those times. And I think Emerald Fennell gets the general vibe of what this thing is. There's a part in it where Rosamund Pike, who plays the mother, she mentions that she was the inspiration for the Pulp song Common People. I don't know how many of you know that song. My wife is a huge Pulp fan, so to me that's a song I know very well. Check it out, Pulp's Common People. It's actually a really, really great song. You should check it out if you never have. And Pulp in general, Different Class is a great album. But as well as This Is Hardcore, I could tell you a lot about Pulp. But Rosamund Pike talks about how she was the inspiration for Common People. It's sort of a joke. And this is a super English movie. Or she says it, and it's sort of oh, but it wasn't me. People say it was me. But that's sort of how I feel about her, Emerald Fennell, kind of talking about this subject. Because she is, in fact, grew up posh, like her dad's as they say in England. She grew up rich, basically. Her dad is a big jewelry guy, like for the stars and stuff like that. She isn't from the old money of Saltburn, naturally, and I'm sure most English people would say there's a difference, and I agree. But I do think the kind of stink of the fact that she can't come up with a real reason other than like, well, they want it. They want our wealth and they want our lifestyle from the rich. Thinking that the poors want the rich people's money just because they want it. But it's like, without that, even like in Parasite, like I said, like they need it because they need jobs, because they need money. Like that's the ultimate scam, is just to like have a job. Like how sad is that, basically? Or like if you see anyone else in any of these movies, like there is a reason, like they hate these rich people, or you see their grandma's sick, or like there's something. And in this, Barry Keoghan's character of Oliver, it's just like he seems to like them, and you're like, what the fuck? Like that's not, I'm sorry, no, like that's not how this works. Like, and it just felt like someone who like never had to really struggle or think of why someone would need money. If you never needed to have a job or never needed to do that, and like this reeks of like someone, it's like the song Common People. Like in the song, it's like this girl saying a rich girl saying she wants to live like common people. And in this, it felt like that throughout the whole film almost, because it's like, it's stylish, it's cool, it's like, she's definitely a good director. I'm not saying, or stylistically and stuff, but I do feel like it sort of fumbles the bag in terms of like, why did he do this? Like, he just like, I get that he was like middle class, but that sort of ruined it, I think. It's sort of like watching someone talk and make a lot of good points, and you're kind of like with them and you're enjoying it, and you realize they have like nothing to say, but you're still like, this is fun, but you're not too deep. But it's like great performances from Rosamund Pike doing her usual, she's very good being the kind of rich mom. Richard E. Grant, who I love seeing in anything, to be honest with you. Barry Keoghan, Jake Lordy, first time really, I didn't watch the Euphoria too much, but people seem to like that guy, and he was good in this. Pretty much everyone gave a good performance. I think Emerald Fennell is very good with actors. I think we get into this thing with her because I think both her films are films that like, I think I would like on the surface, and then I don't think about as much. I think I like this one more for I forget what I said about Promising Young Woman. Maybe I felt like conflicted or something, or liked it okay, but this seems to have stuck with me a little more than that film. But it did feel like a film I could just have on and enjoy a few scenes from. And as weird as she is, I think that's sort of something that always surprises me about Emerald Fennell. It's like she's a very kind of strange director in a lot of ways, in terms of like going gory and crazy and all those things. It's also, it's like, why have this in the 2000s? Because that's a time she likes, and it's like that's cool to see directors kind of, I don't know, it was cooler when I was younger and I hadn't lived during that time period. Now I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you're doing, but like, why are you, now I'm like, well, why are you doing it? And I don't really know. Supposedly, I keep reading she took inspiration from her time at Oxford, but I don't know. To me, it is like someone who's posh. It's like, oh, your time at Oxford, the super prestigious college and stuff like that. But I think anyone would have a good time at this, but I don't think this would stick much to it. But the style is like, some of the songs I can hum in my head that I haven't heard in a while and suddenly been hit by, or some of the new songs, or some of the ideas and some of the things like that, I think really came out. It's just like, she is a director who really just needs a real kick-ass ending one of these days. Like, that would be like so enjoyable. If she just really maybe got a co-writer, or like understood meaning or something like that, because she's not a weird artsy filmmaker. It feels like she's someone who was taught that stories need meaning, and her stories scream of it, and she doesn't have it. So it's like, you gotta like pick one. Just be like awkwardly weird, do a style piece, or do this. And it's like, you can't, when you're messing about like this, it's like you kind of get these like almost like artistically promising something that you don't even plan on delivering is strange. But still enjoyed it. I would have liked more like 2000 hip hop, to be honest with you. Like, just weren't listening to any of that, I guess. I don't know. If we're just gonna have things for things' sake, I just like, there's a lot of good stuff going on then. I don't know. There's a certain charm to this. There's a certain idea of this that like sucks me in a bit. That makes me think like, what's going on? That intrigues me. That keeps me wanting watching, but that enjoys it even if it's not saying anything. And I think that still takes a real talent. It'd probably take more talent to say something, but if you don't have that and you can still compel me to be interested in it and see the style in it. I know it was shot by the same guy who shot like La La Land, which I guess is supposed to impress me. Like, I like the cinematography, I like the style of it, I liked the actors in it. I thought it was very watchable. I just am like, at the end of it, I'm like, it is really just like watching someone just like blabber on about politics, and then you realize they don't know actually much about the actual politics. They just know the surface level stuff, and it's like, it was very good at that. It was really good, really fun at that. Felt like someone that was sort of like mostly got it, but was clearly not a life experience they fully knew. And it was interesting because it seemed like she brought that into this film, but it just never brought into the real meaning of it. So, I will probably see her next film. I think enjoyed the last one. I forget, to be honest with you. I didn't remind myself at all with it, but I did enjoy this one. So it was a fun enough time. I had a good time. My wife and I saw it together. We enjoyed it while it was going, but we were like debating, like, well, what was that? Like, it just didn't. What was the point of that? And I don't think it fully understood why you do this kind of film. Why are you eating the rich? And I think her answer is because they're rich. And I'm like, well, yeah, but most people need that money. And if we understood why, other than the fact that, all the security and stuff that would grant, other than his weird selfish need, it just comes off as like, as empty as like maybe his desires are. And since we don't know what they are, you just kind of are sitting there and wondering, what exactly was this? But I did sort of enjoy watching her kind of not figure that out in the end. So if you have seen Saltburn and you would like to talk about it, then comment below in the comments and subscribe if you would like to.